Yeah, this is good. Dr. Charles Apoki is my name, and I'm your friend. I am your friend, a very good friend. It's been a long time I went live on Facebook. My network has not been too good, and I've been traveling a lot. I'm wearing a t-shirt from Cove Real Estate, one of my mentees on my WhatsApp mentorship group. And it says, become a landlord today. And if I turn around, I don't know if you can see the back. It says, don't wait to buy land and wait. So I'm reaching you from my school at Okwokoko, very beautiful place. I bought this place quite some time back, and it has become millions of naira prime estate. But I want to share with you some key principles of how I started life, the key principles that have helped me. You see, when you listen to people on Facebook or social media talking about finances, they most times will give a blanket advice to people. We don't give advice based on the different strata of society. What I want to share today is for people like me that started with nothing, that started from the background of poverty. The major asset I had was education. I would like to know where you are watching from and who is following me, and maybe later we can answer some questions. So I started life from a very difficult situation, a position of hardship. And I realized that education was my primary lever that will give me leverage. But in everything I did after graduation, I deliberately followed this key principle. And it is the principle of simplicity, frugality, and hard work, and daring to live your life according to your abilities, capacities, relative comparative advantages, without following the crowd. So I want to look at the book of Ruth, very good character I've been teaching from for a long time. Ruth chapter 2. In Ruth chapter 2, you can take your time to read it. Ruth was a widow. Ruth was a foreigner in the land of Israel in Bethlehem. Ruth was poor. Ruth was broke. And she was a stranger. And there was a provision in the statutes of Israel that when you harvest your fields, don't harvest to the extremes. Leave some things down for the poor, the widow, and the stranger who has no land to be able to harvest and have something to eat. I'll beg of you, please help invite others to join this broadcast and share it with others as we are on. And let me know where you are watching from. So if you go to the book of Ruth chapter 2, from verse 15, the Bible says that, and when she was risen up to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, saying, let her glean even among the sheaves, and reproach her not. And let fall also some of the handfuls of purpose for her, and leave them, that she may glean there, and rebuke her not. So she gleaned in the field until even, and beat out that she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. Verse 18, and she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned, and she brought forth and gave to her what she had reserved after she was sufficed. So the issue is that Ruth ate. Yes, come in. Ruth ate. And when Ruth ate, she she made sure she kept some. She kept some for her mother-in-law. Kept some for her mother-in-law. She did not finish everything. What she harvested, she kept some, and it amounted to 13 liters of barley. You see, three things there. Number one, Ruth worked very hard. She worked very hard, worked harder. When you come from a poor background, you come from a relatively disadvantaged state. I am an Yoruba man. I come from a minority tribe. I'm not Yoruba. I'm not Igbo. I'm not Hausa. So I realized that I have to put in 10 times more effort, 10 times more capacity, 10 times more ingredients, 10 times more value to what I am doing for me to gain recognition. So there are times I go to preach, I find out that I'm the only man from my tribe there, not to talk of from my community. So if you come from a relatively small country, you come from a relatively small tribe, you come from an insignificant background, for you to be outstanding, put in more effort. Put in more effort, work harder, put in more excellence, put in more time, put in more research, put in more diligence. So Ruth worked hard, worked harder to such an extent that the foreman noticed her and became her spokesperson. Many of us are looking for favor, but we don't know how to attract favor. Number two, Ruth was very, very good in social intelligence. She was able to know how to communicate with Boaz. She was not brash. She was not rash. She was not aggressive. Many young women today on social media are too brash, too rough. Many young men don't know how to interact with people who can help them. So Ruth, when she ate to some extent and kept the remaining one for her mother-in-law. No matter how big your salary, no matter how big your income, Parkinson's law will always catch up with you. The more money you make, the more you spend. The more resources you have, the more you spend. So one of the things that helped me was that anytime I had money, I tailored my appetite and my expenditure to fitness for purpose. Fitness for purpose. Is this thing good enough for what I am doing? Is this thing good enough to take me to where I am going to? Is this thing good enough to produce the result I need? Can I use this at this level before I get to a higher level? So I always, when I opened my first clinic, I opened it, a portable place, used the resources I had, even though I borrowed 2,500 from a bank then in 1988, I was able to pay back within a year. So always review yourself, look at your circumstances, look at your income, and tell yourself, is this good enough? Don't behave like somebody who is don't eat meat like somebody whose father is a butcher, who slaughters cows. Don't eat meat like that person. Don't eat like somebody who is in his harvest season while you are in your planting season. Don't dress like somebody who is in a celebration time when you are in your labor time. So I knew where I came from. I knew where I was going to. And so I adjusted myself. I knew my circumstances. I knew I had a father that had spinal cord injury. I knew I had a mother that had stroke. I knew I had an elder brother that was mentally retarded. I knew I had two other brothers who were not rich, who were to a large extent dependent upon me or even abandoned me. So I could not live like my other church members. I lived a very simple life, a life that was such that I could maximize my resources. So don't just imitate what is trending. Don't just do things because people are doing them. Live your life in such a way that you will maximize your resources. And no matter what you earn, you can squander what you earn anyhow if you are not careful. Remember, Ruth knew that she left a mother-in-law at home. So she had to eat, reserve some. There's something called the satiety center in the brain. The satiety center in the brain is where you get satisfaction. You see, I have not added weight for many years. I've added only about 10 kilograms. I've added only about 10 kilograms over a long period of time. It's just because I regulate my feeding. If you see this, my high cheekbones, they are supposed to be covered by flesh. But I regulate, thank you, sir. Is your mentorship class still open? Yes. You can send a message to +234 7052136763, and then you would send a message that you want to be added to the group, and we'll add you to the group. So my high cheekbones are supposed to be covered with flesh. My skin is not very smooth because it is not stretched with fat. So it has wrinkles. It is because I don't eat much. I don't eat much. So the number is +234 7052136763. So, and God has helped me. I have this trim figure. I'm 64. So, you must not eat everything. All the monies that Brother Heidi, thank you so much. All the monies that I got from preaching engagement, I did not squander on clothes. I used them to buy properties, use them to build. Today, I can relax. So live a prudent life, live a frugal life, live a simplistic life. Don't live a complicated and expensive life of consumerism and clutter. This house is a very simple, and my bedroom is there, very simple. My kitchen is here, very simple. My sitting room, very simple. But I can clutter here, I have enough money to fill here. But it gives me the opportunity to have economic freedom. I don't think I have gone to meet any person in the last 20-something years to give me money, to give me a loan. I don't owe any bank. I don't owe any bank. I don't beg people anything. I don't owe any bank. So I am able to have money, save money from my simplistic lifestyle. And then I have enough to reinvest. I don't allow any person put me under pressure. I don't allow any person put me under pressure. If you are doing launching and I'm there, I will give what I can give, vow what I can vow, but you cannot force me to live a life that is not my life. A lot of us are in prison of consumerism, prison of competition, prison of living to impress people. No. When I wanted to bury my parents, they died 3 weeks apart. I built a house I did not owe. I told them, Peter, thank you so much. I'm wearing your t-shirt. Cove Investments. Become a landlord. Thank you so much for this t-shirt and the hoodie. I will wear the hoodie one day so that I will look like a young man. Ehikioya Peter Odion is a real estate guru in Port Harcourt, Asaba, and Abuja, and Lagos. So, I buried my parents according to how much I had. Smart, thank you. Buried my parents to how much I had. I did not owe. My relatives were putting me under pressure. I did not bury them to impress them. And I left immediately I finished, I left before they came. I didn't do 3 days ceremony. Oh, I'm a doctor, second doctor from my community. No. Second doctor does not translate to wealth. I made a video that you must know your status and know your state. My status is that I'm a medical doctor. My state was that I was from a poor family. Then you must know your direction and your destination and how to get there. I knew I wanted to be rich, and I cannot start eating my future, wearing my future, spraying my future, and displaying my future without building my future. Manufacture yourself before you market yourself, as I used to say. So I was able to invest and reinvest, invest and reinvest. When I go to preach, we sell books, I reinvest in printing books, I reinvest in buying land, I reinvest in building the school. That was how I lived. At one time, I had only 2 shoes, I had only a few clothes. I didn't used to drive my car. Still today, I don't drive to go and preach. I hardly. I will just enter public transport, get to wherever I'm going to preach, so that the money they will give to me, it will get home intact, and I can invest that money, reinvest. So I am free. I'm not under pressure. I'm not owing any person. I don't beg. I don't relate with people under pressure because so that they might give to me. No, it is because I have learned to live a simplistic life. I have learned to live according to my resources, not according to my resources, according to my decision. I determine my appetite. I determine how much I want to eat. I determine, at one time they were, yes, wisdom is profitable, Benedicta. They were making mockery of me. If I buy a bottle of Coke in those days, I would just take a glass and keep the other in the fridge. And for many months now, I've not drank one Coke. So I try as much as possible not to consume my future. Because every money that is in my hand, as God taught me, belongs to my children's children. A righteous man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. The same oil money that Nigeria is getting is the same oil money that other Arab nations got. Dubai, UAE, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, even Norway, the same oil money. Our own we squander, we throw up and down. And today we are a poor nation. There are no dollars in this country because we even sold our head. Now, Ruth got home, and what she took home amounted to 13 liters of barley. You will ask yourself a simple question. You go to work, come back, go to work, come back for 30 days in a month. Ask yourself, how much is it that is left? How much do you have left at the end of the month? If you are not having anything left at the end of the month, you are eating your future. If you don't have anything left at the end of the month, you are eating your future. Let me just give you an example. I went to preach in Benin City, and they asked me what I wanted to eat. I said fish and chips, potato chips. So they brought one big fish, catfish, and potato chips. I ate a bit of the potato chips. I ate the potato chips. Ate a bit of the fish. The fish is in my freezer here. My wife transferred me here, so I live here. I am going to cook stew with the remaining fish and use it to eat rice. I went somewhere they bought bush meat for me in a cooler from Benin. When I came and pounded yam, I ate a small bit and put the remaining in the freezer. I was going to preach yesterday at the Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship at Warri. I ate a little bit from that same meal, and the other one is in the freezer. The meal they gave to me in that hotel, I couldn't finish it because I have adjusted my appetite. I ate a little bit. It's in the freezer. So I'm going to have my wife put solar freezer here. So I'm going to defrost them, warm them, and eat them. Number one, my figure will be trimmed. Number two, I will not spend money to cook new food if I don't want to cook new food. So that's how to live. Don't clutter your life. Go to your wardrobe. You will discover that there are many clothes you are not wearing. Go to your wardrobe. You discover there are many shoes you are not wearing. There are many wristwatches you are not wearing. You just accumulate accumulate things that you never will use. Why don't you invest them? Why don't you invest that money? Why don't you live a simple life? So, live a simple life. Somebody asked me, when last did you travel out of the country for holidays? Holidays are very good. They inspire you. They make you relax. I have children who are citizens in Europe. I have children in Europe. But I will not just get up because other people consider Europe as holiday and just take, as at this time, take 1.5 million, 2 million and travel. No, I don't do that. I owe this nation a lot. I owe my grandchildren a lot. I owe this country a lot. So, I have devised a way of relaxing and holidaying here in this country that does not need foreign exchange. Is it not to relax? If I go to Germany to go and see my son, he's a citizen there. By the time I reach Lagos, from Lagos to Ughelli, all the enjoyment in Germany will have evaporated. Even the traffic in the airport. So I try to devise other means to reach the same end. So live a frugal life. Live a simple life. Live a prudent life. Minimalist life. But make sure you have money to invest in very tangible legacies. One of the greatest desires I have, after I finish building that polytechnic at Efronto, I want to build a specialist hospital where I come from in Uyemi land. I want to build a specialist hospital so that the medical practice that I left, my children's children will know that they had a grandfather that was a medical doctor, and I have left something behind. Don't always live like a typical African. A typical African thinks that we will not take anything out of this world, so we must enjoy everything. Excuse me. We will not take anything out of this world, so we must eat everything. No, you can leave something behind. If each African leaves Africa better than when he was born, we will have changed Africa. When I traveled to Europe, when I interact with white people in Australia, I interacted with white people in Australia. Now, I found out that when we went to the restaurant to eat, after eating, they have a bag. They will pack extra, the one they didn't finish. They will put it in a bag and take home. White people, for a black man, they will consider it something of mockery to carry food home. They also have another bag called Bingo's bag. They will collect bones to give to their dogs at home. But I know Nigerians that buy a whole cow and put in freezer for their dogs. I know Nigerians, I know them. They have deep freezers with a whole cow. They say the cow died, had a vehicle hit the cow. They will put a whole cow inside deep freezer for their dogs. But the white man collects his leftovers to feed his dogs and maybe buys dog food. So I just imagine me driving a Rolls Royce on the streets of Ughelli and Warri. I drove a Mercedes 450 to go and preach. As I was coming back, the horn didn't horn, the indicators didn't show, because I drove through bad road and water, and one of the legs, the thing is showing a sign, service right front wheel. Because of the bad roads, I spent 400 and something million to buy a car. Boy, God will hold me responsible. When we don't have a specialist hospital around here, when somebody is sick, we have to enter bad road to Ogara. They will send him there to several medical tests. No, God will hold me accountable. The money I'm using to employ graduates here and pay workers and the school training children, I could have spent it anyhow. I had people I was preaching with who had such kind of money, but they didn't use their own well. So save your money, live a simple life, but make sure you reinvest and reinvest and reinvest. If I tell you how much I reinvested yesterday in real estate, it will shock you. So reinvest, reinvest, spend your money to give your children good education, spend your money to contribute to society. I'm not talking about beggars. Set up institutions for common good. Most people who beg you don't create